Good day. We've had some pretty blustery weather today. It's dying off a bit now, still pretty blustery. Hopefully you can hear me. I didn't get down here yesterday, Sunday, and I should have done because I wanted to take leaves off these tomatoes, but some of them succumbed to the winds overnight. You can see down here I've picked a whole load to go home down here. Some have some plants have sort of broken their stems, or not the stems, the bamboo. Others have broken over. This must have slid down and it's just broken over. I sort of feel it's the end of days for the tomatoes, so I am going to cut them back now, which will mean that they get buffeted less by wind when we do get wind. The weather is supposed to improve this week, but you know what, I'm sure we've got more winds to come, so yeah. And I've also now decided that this bed, let me come over here, this bed will definitely be the broad beam bed. And then I've been saying about this bed here being the perennial Taunton Deane Kale bed. And suddenly this morning I thought, you know what, that's not sensible. It's better that this becomes the Dazzling Blue Kale bed, and I move the two Taunton Deane we've got here and two others elsewhere. And I think at the moment I'm going to move them to replace the courgettes. That seems to make quite a lot of sense to me. And then this will all then be a sort of perennial stroke permanent bed, if you see what I mean. So I think I will do that maybe later in the week. The thing is, I do need to get the Dazzling Blue Kale in, because they need to go in, and they need to be covered because of pecking. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll most probably put them, the Dazzling Blue Kale, all down the middle quite tightly. Can't remember quite how many we've got, 15, 20. I'm giving definitely, well, if we put 10 down here, that would, if I put 12 down here, that's what I'll do. I'll put 12 down here, and then I'm going to give 4 away to one person and 4 away to another. So yeah, that's that all seems good. I just hope you can hear me in all this wind. Oh, quite gusty. I've got the door of the poly open to let some air in there, and now the poly door is shut. Oh dear, yes. I need to tidy up some of the leaves in this bed as well before slugs and snails start going, those are falling over, we'll go and eat those. And then more wind. When I came, our Dazzling Blue Kale, the crates on top of them had somehow blown off. Don't quite understand, because they've got these bricks on top of them. Not quite sure how that happened. And the same with the Lolo Beyonder. And these, as you can see, I've got a fallen, I'm in the way there, fallen tomato there that I need to pick up. Yeah, and a pot as well. I didn't get down yesterday, so this wasn't watered, but I will give it a water today. The rocket is growing through fine. You can see that one has actually got a flower coming, so I'll take it off. The rocket outside is doing fine as well. The Lolo Beyonder and the Cos that we planted up the other week, they're also good, which is grand. And then these will be going home, I think, this week to go onto our windowsill. That's basil. And then here we have the chard. This was the gifted chard this side, and this side was the really old chard seedling seeds that we had. And you can see that the germination rate at the back here so far is pretty limited, whilst this one here is a bit better. They did think that this was flamingo chard, but I can see here there's, I mean, these are red stems, you can see that, and then here we've got very sort of green yellow stems. So I think it's really a mix. And I think that with the weather we're due this week, the warmer weather we're due this week, both daytime and nighttime temperatures, it's time for these to go outside. I think they'll go into our grow house. In fact, that to me I think is a really sensible thing, because they'll get the elements and the ambient temperature of outdoor, but they'll get a little less buffeted, but we'll get a bit buffeted. So yeah, let me see if I can do that. I've done some shifting around and the chard is here now. It'll prefer being in here where it's cooler than the poly, which gets quite warm if the door is shut. Yeah, just moving a few things around. These are some seedlings of rocket. I think they're salad rocket. I need to do some more wild rocket because the seeds that I sowed a couple of weeks ago, this is all that's germinated from them, which is pretty low germination rate. So I'm going to sow some more wild rocket. I think I'll be doing some more sowing tomorrow, but that will be in the poly. But yeah, let me just put the mesh down, tighten up the screw. There's a screw here to tighten it up, so the wind can get in there and strengthen these, which will be really good, but they will be cooler. I'm talking about the chard, but they'll be cooler than in the poly, which is very good. These are our cuttings of Taunton Deane here. Not sure if you can see those, but they're the ones that need to go in. Despite the wind, it is very bright, so it's lovely, but that wind, when it gusts, it really is stronger than I thought it was. So I am going to do a couple of jobs of just taking some leaves off the tomatoes and staking that other tomato back up by the poly. I think with the covers on the Lolo Beyonder and on the Dazzling Blue Kale, I think they blew off because they're on top of the rim of the gravel tray, and I think the wind just grabbed it and sort of, like, you know, because it's so quite smooth, it just sort of pushed it along, and that's why it fell off. Because I was just watching it, and the Lolo Beyonder, the one that I put on top of that with the brick, I was watching it and it just blew across and fell off. So I've now I've done it so that it can't move, basically, because pigeons and magpies pecking, you know, I'm sure if I didn't have that cover, then they would be pecking away at those. So yeah, I'm going to carry on mulling where I put the perennial kale, the Taunton Deane. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put it by the courgettes, or where the courgettes are at the moment. But I'm also wondering whether I put them excuse me, in the bed where we have the late potatoes, main crop potatoes at the moment, which is behind the tree honeysuckle, the shrub honeysuckle. I think that would be a good place for them too. So yeah, I'm going to mull that over the coming days. But what I do know is I'm going to put the Dazzling Blue Kale in that bed with the beetroot where I thought we were going to put a whole line of perennial kale. So yeah, I will do that hopefully tomorrow. If the wind, there are things blowing about on the site. I don't just mean light things. There is, I noticed just a couple of plots down, their shed has actually been shifted a little bit. So, and there are things blowing in the wind, little bits, sort of small bits of wood. So I'm not going to be down here too long. I'm just going to do a few things and then get home, mainly for safety reasons. And I hope that tomorrow I'll be able to get down here and get those Dazzling Blue Kale out in, if I can get the perennial kale, the two in there, out. So yeah, hopefully I'll be back tomorrow to do that, fingers crossed, or if not, it'll be later in the week. It's quite a busy week, one thing and another this week. We've just had a busy weekend with Sophie, Richard's niece, my niece, staying with us. So yeah, it's all quite busy. Anyway, that's all fine. That's all fine. Things to do. Definitely need to sow some winter lettuce and definitely need to get those Dazzling Blue Kale in. I will mull that overnight and over the coming days. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. I did the plot tour this morning. I'll be out in a few days, and I was thinking about these perennial kale which I've just taken out, and I've decided that they are going to go into this bed where I've got the courgettes currently. I think these courgettes, well, I think two of these courgettes have really definitely come to the end of their life, and two of them, this one here and this one at the back, haven't produced too well anyway. So I'm going to leave these this side for the moment, take these this side out and put the perennial kale in instead. Oh, I can see an aquilegia in there as well. I'll need to take that out. Oh, two aquilegias, I'll need to take those out. getting the soil right around. Two rehomed Taunton Deane Perennial Kale. I think I should have put this one at the back, maybe 6 inches further back, but you know what, they'll be fine for the moment and they'll be fine for this winter. And even though I'm going to be working the plot as if we're going to be here for a whole year next year, there is the possibility that we'll be moving before then. So if we do, 1 or 2 of these are going to come out, because I will in a couple of weeks be planting the others here. But yeah, in the meantime, they're happy there, or they will be happy there once their roots have settled in, and that frees up the bed that they've come from to put the Dazzling Blue Kale in later in the week, which is grand. It's been a bit of a speedy visit down to the plot this afternoon, but I knew I had to come down to bring our peelings, so they're going to go into the compost bin now. I also had some pots at home which needed to be rehoused down here, and as I was coming down I found these chairs, take me, you can see, along the road by our allotment. And even though I don't need these, I know somebody else here who mentioned to me they'd like some fold-up chairs. So these look perfect for them. And as I was doing the job of removing the perennial kale from the bed, this marjoram was by one of them. That's going to be going to another plot holder very shortly. And then as I was doing the job, I said at the beginning about 2 aqualegias. Well, there they are. And then here is 2 buddleia. But I'm wondering if these are the yellow buddleia that we've got rather than the purple one, because the yellow buddleia is down that end. So yeah, I thought I would pop them on. I will give all these 5 a really good water, and then I'm going to take this down to a fellow plotter and pop it in their greenhouse. Come back, put these away, put these away, put these into the poly, and then my friend can come and have a look at them in the poly, and then I'm going to wend my way home. See you again very soon. Bye. Good day. We're at Durlston, outside of Swanage, on the cliff path, and I'm just amazed at this wood here. Hopefully you can see it is so amazingly maintained, it really is. And there's piles of wood around as well. You can see one on the left there, and on the right maybe, well, on the right up there. And you can see how they've been cut back here. I assume these have been planted, but I don't know. But yeah, we're in Swanage with Vivi, and I wasn't going to do any filming, but this is just such a glorious place. And this wood This wood is just so fabulous. It really is. Oh, there's a pathway. That's a castle up there. You can just see through there. They're sitting there having a waffle. That's where we started. Just lovely. But then we come to the wood. Quite glorious. Anyway, just a swift one. There they are, nattering on the bench. I will say goodbye and we'll see you soon. Bye! Good day. As you can see, we're at the plot and we're back from Vivi. It's Sunday afternoon and various things brought down today. Gifted foxgloves from Vivi and also her jasmine, which were cuttings that have rooted. That's fabulous. And then at the back here are sweet corn husks. We had well, I prepped some before we went away, but I didn't have time to bring the husks down, so I just put them in a used bag and put them into the fridge, so they're coming down for the compost today. You might be able to see there's a wasp quite liking them there. Maybe it's picking up the smell, I don't know. And then here in need of a water are some Buddleia and Aquilegia that I took out earlier in the week. It is pretty sunny and was very hot yesterday, about 26 or 27 degrees I understand. I did ask a fellow plotter to water a few things and they did, very kindly, they did. But you know what, the ground is looking pretty dry, so after bringing down what I needed to bring down, I filled up watering cans and I've done some watering, and I'm going to continue watering very shortly. But first, another job to do. Giving this cucumber flower a little knock to loosen the pollen. It's self-pollinating, but in the greenhouse there's little breeze, as I've said before, hardly any pollinators, so just giving it a knock to release the pollen so that it self-pollinates. And I have to say, doing that has really helped the number of cucumbers that have grown this year on this very late, well, these very late sown indoor La Diva cucumbers. This one here will be picking maybe in 2 or 3 days, just given the plants a really good water. I can see here, oh, let's do that to that one as well, but you can see behind, that one is growing, has been pollinated and taken. I think this one here has as well. We've got another one up there. I think this one has. Then if we come, where was it, down here, you can see that that one has. And coming up here, this one has as well. So we've got, I think I counted before, as well as this one, we've got 6 other cucumbers coming. Though, as I say, the nights, well, I didn't say, but even though we had a really hot Friday, and I think Saturday was pretty hot as well, the nighttime temperatures down here are getting down to about 6 degrees. So yeah, I really need to think about reducing the opening hours of the greenhouse. And I think that means these slats, they do have some space in them, but I think it's time for them to close. And then this one will be the one that opens automatically. So yeah, I think you need to be careful about the nighttime temperature for our remaining cucumbers. There's another one that's taken there. Our paths have been mown. I met the person who did it when I was coming down, and that's great. He's left some clippings for me as well, which is lovely. These I'm going to give a really good water, but I think they're okay. They've settled in okay. But with colder temperatures at night as a regular now, I think these cucumbers are really going to be coming out next week, and the other perennial kale that I've got are going to be going in. And I think it's time with these tomatoes here to start thinking about possibly taking them out, or taking some of them out at least. There's some where I know they'll ripen very well off the vine, so yeah, it means that I can get in there and do some hand weeding, which would be good to do before the next crop. I'm just showing you how dry it's been after all the rain we've had. This is the buddleia. I didn't ask anyone to water this, and you can see the leaves are a little bit droopy, but that's okay. I'll give that a water very soon, and that's going to be the name of the game for me: watering squash, watering tomatoes, watering the lettuce. So watering. So I'm going to get on and do that. Even though there may not have been a huge amount of physical work on the plot this week, I'm glad to have got some jobs done, and I'm glad to have made some decisions, like the fact that the Dazzling Blue Kale that we've got to go in is going to go into that long bed where the beetroot is now, which meant that those perennial kale could come out. They needed to go somewhere. Of course, they've gone into the courgette bed, so the courgette bed is going to become the perennial kale bed, at least for the next, let's say, 10 months, 12 months, something like that. I might decide to move them at some point, but I think they will stay there for the time being. I've also had time whilst I'm away to think about a few other things, which I might come on to next week rather than this week. But yeah, now it's still warm, it's mid-afternoon, and I've got various other bits of watering to do, but various other bits of tidying as well. I did realise when I was away that the chard would need watering, because I hadn't expected such high temperatures here on Thursday or Friday and then Saturday. So I did ask a fellow plotter who I had asked to water in the poly to water the grow house as well, particularly the chard. So they are looking pretty good. I'm glad I remembered that. I hadn't expected to come back here today though to find that quite a few things around and about needed watering. Not because they hadn't been watered by somebody that I'd asked to water, because I hadn't asked anyone to water anything else, but because I thought that the rain that we've had over the last week or so would do them quite well, you know, until our next rains. But that is not the case. So I have watered the squash, I've watered our tomatoes, I've watered the lettuce that is outside, I've watered the benches, you know, things like that. And of course I've watered the cucumbers in the greenhouse because I want to keep them going as long as possible. We'll see how long they carry on growing. Yeah, we'll see. And now I'm just going to carry on pottering. I'm going to rake up the clippings that have been left from the mowing. They're going to go into my compost bin along with those corn husks, and yeah, just do various things and potter. I'm going to potter. Yeah. If you have any comments, any questions, or any suggestions, please do put them down below in the comment section. If you're on Planet Vegetaria, obviously you can put them in the comments on Facebook. And whatever is happening in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope things are going the way that you planned, and I hope things go the way that you are planning if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Today is the 21st of September, so 21st of September, 22nd of September is astronomical equinox. So that's we're now in, or about to be in, astronomical autumn. So having hit meteorological autumn on the 1st of September, we in the Northern Hemisphere are now in astronomical autumn. And of course in the Southern Hemisphere, you're hitting astronomical spring, which is lovely, absolutely lovely. All of that sort of hope of the year to come is there. So yeah, and of course as we hit the end of September, all my hope is going to our next growing year, which starts in just over 9 or 10 days time, maybe 11 days time. So yeah, I will have to check up on where our garlic is. See you very soon, and happy growing. Bye.